Welcome back to Flo's World. This is how I see the world. I feel like there's two different types of people in this world. There's the people who wait for the world to command them and tell them what to do. And then there's people who self-initiate for themselves. And I feel like, I don't know, I'm painting my nails again, so. I feel like one thing that's so interesting for me to really understand and has been something that took me a long time, and I'm still trying to get a hold of this and understanding like the dynamic that's playing at hand with people, as somebody who believes that if I want to access anything in this world, I have to put myself and position myself in the rooms and in the environments and in the opportunities that allow me to ultimately become the thing that it is that I want to go after. And as somebody who realizes very early on in my life, and maybe from trauma, but also just as somebody who really valued their independence from a very, very early on age, and kind of being that child of like, you can stand near me, but I want to do this by myself, because doing it by myself with the assistance near me is allowing me to really learn about myself, and learn about this craft that I'm trying to walk into. And so over the years, it was habits like that and knowings of myself that really have been guiding me all throughout my life. But I always knew from an early on age, I'm somebody who isn't fearful of the unknown, but really welcomes and embraces the unknown. And also is willing to welcome the journey of whatever it is that they want for themselves in order to cultivate the realities that they want. And it's just so interesting the type of human beings you come across in this world, and just how other people will navigate your reality with you when you are somebody who is self-sufficient and like self-governing and has that sovereignty over their life, where they understand, hey, I'm in the driver's seat of my life. And whatever it is that I want to cultivate, I don't think any imaginary things or any person in this world or any relationship is going to give it to me. And even if they can, like, I don't really put my desires or the key to my happiness in other people's pockets. And I will say in my life, I've come across people who are also like this, and it is really, really inspiring to see people who are also driven in those ways. But I think the thing that shocks me is people who wait on other things to initiate things in their life and to get them going. And not to say that there's necessarily a problem with that, but it's just that's not my functionality and never has been. And I don't think it will ever be my functionality. Like, I'm one of those people who, like, if I see something that I like or something that I desire, or I get an inclination to go after something, I fully trust in that vision. I fully trust in that voice and that desire that's lingering in my heart. And most of the times I use my intuition as a way to guide me to things. And over the years, I was on this journey of, yes, discovering myself and learning about myself. But when you also don't know yourself fully yet, you run into a lot of people who are like not necessarily mirroring you, or might be mirroring you, but are most of the time projecting onto you. And as somebody who didn't really have a strong grip and understanding myself yet, and really haven't really come to understand how people react to my kind of archetype, because essentially all we are is like archetypes embodying a certain quality about ourselves, and they either mesh really well with other people or they create a clash. And understanding why certain clashes happen between people like me and other people who kind of need that initiative to get going. But I think it's so interesting, especially in the society that we live in, because people would like encourage people to be authentic and in themselves, but when we do have people who appear in such a way, we kind of criminalize them, because it's kind of like they point a mirror back to us of like, why can't we be that? And over the years, I think the thing that confuses me about people like that is they're never courageous enough to like step into the boat that you are, which is being self-sufficient. And if you have a dream, you go after it. For example, let me give you an example. When I was in high school, I had this deep desire where I was really passionate about going to HBCU. And one thing about Flo is when Flo has her mind set on something, I don't stop until I've gotten it. And I don't need to boast about it. I don't need to talk about it. I don't need to share about it. Because most of the time, honestly, it's doing those things that sets you back 10 steps sometimes than just not talking about it. You can talk about it when it's done, and I prefer to do that. But most times talking about your plans before you've done it to people that don't really move like you just sabotages the plan. So it's better to just keep it quiet to yourself. And from the examples I've seen over my life of how people react to somebody who doesn't wait for things to happen in their life, they go get it, they go after and do it. And going back to the example of when I was in college, I was, yeah, like I said, passionate about going to not medical school, but yes, at that time, medical school, but also at an HBCU that allows students to also have access to medical school later on. And me and a good friend of mine were talking a lot about going to an HBCU together and yada, yada, yada. And I'm not gonna just, like, this is the thing that gets me about people. Don't sit up in my face and make a plan with me about how we're gonna execute something when all of it is just a fucking idea in your mind and you have no plan of executing it. Because even when the thought is just a plan in my mind, I'm also thinking about how I can foster this into a tangible action. But if you just live in la la land with your dreams, please don't fuck with me. Because I just feel like that's a waste of my goddamn time. And I'm not a big fan of people like that. Because you're wasting my goddamn time. That energy that I could be pouring into, like, understanding and breaking things down that maybe are contributing to my fear of being complacent is gonna be overridden by sitting with your bullshit because you want to be fearful and just stuck. And if you know that you're not the type of person who moves like that, please get the fuck out of people's way who understand that, hey, I'm just somebody who likes to move and grow and do things, you know? But at this point in my life, you know, it felt like a mutual decision that me and this person were making, and we were making the plans together. But it got to a point where, like, you know, we have to talk to these things about people in our lives, like our parents and stuff, and we need to kind of get the green light from them. And I also knew for myself, like, as another African daughter who comes from an immigrant household, girl, the possibilities of us ever doing that was very slim. Do you think it didn't even let me go to my friend's next door neighbor to go have a sleepover? You think they're gonna let me travel halfway across the country and live on my own? No, but at the end of the day, I also know myself, you know, and I'm willing to put up a fight to get what I want. Not an ugly fight, but like a healthy fight of standing up for myself, of putting in and placing that conviction in what it is that I want. Like, I understand you have your own ways of navigating this world, mom and dad, but I also have ones of my own. And you need to go home and have integrity to yourself, you know? I believe in having integrity. I don't give a fuck who's in that room telling me I can't do this or I can't. I don't feel like people should be telling, at least me, what I can and can't do. I feel like I know that for myself. And who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? Let me at least place those measures of myself on me, you know, instead of you placing that when you don't even have an idea of who I am. And part of standing up to people, even my parents, is understanding that, you know, the dreams that I have for myself are mine to achieve at the end of the day. And if people don't move with that type of urgency, like, to me, the relationship starts becoming harder to navigate with other people because I can't do the stagnancy. And when you start making reasons of, like, yeah, I don't think I could do this because I don't do pessimistic people. Like, I'm very optimistic, bro. You can give me the worst fucking situation and I will find something positive out of it. I will find something that brings us joy, that changes the whole trajectory of everything that was, like, brutal to look at in the first place. And then you have people where you'll give them a beautiful garden and be like, here, do something with them. And then they will still find flaws in it. Like, girl, I'm sorry. I don't like being around those types of people. They kill optimism. They kill dreams. They kill hope. They kill desires. And as somebody who uses those inclinations within my body and my intuition to guide me on things, you've already cut off the first establishment of what triggers and ignites my fire. Not triggers, but ignites my fire. And when you are fueled by that fire, but that fire needs to be ignited by these desires that you have, but you're around pessimistic people, that already killed your dream, you know? And for people who are like me, who are go-getters and like to go after what it is that they want, being around pessimistic people will really do you such a fucking big detriment than an optimistic person would, because at least there's hope in them, there's possibility in them. Even if the plan sounds like, I'd rather have an outlandish plan or plot to how we're gonna cultivate something than be stuck in pessimism and just talk about negative stuff, you know? I'm like, you gotta go, baby. I do not work like that. But going back to the college story, you know, I would have to go home and talk to my parents and really, like, not even drill through their head. I'm the type of person where I'm gonna have a conversation with you, even if you're my parent. I'm gonna tell you what my plans are, but you're not. It's not like I'm not giving you the plate to decide whether I can go or not. When my parents come up to me with this bullshit of like, I don't know if we're gonna let you, girl, that's not your decision. That's not your decision. And then this is the thing that gets me about people. Like, girl, I talk to my parents like this, and not in a disrespectful way, but in a way of like, I'm gonna always validate my own truth. And I'm gonna always speak my 2 cents and say, hey, this is the trajectory of how I want my life to go and how it's gonna go. So when strangers come up in my face thinking they're gonna steer the boat of my life, I'll be like, yeah, you're on one. I don't know what the fuck you on, but you're definitely on one, because I don't think you know flow, you know? And, you know, it ended up being a thing where, like, I ended up going to that college because, you know, like I said, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna execute it all the way. But when you're around people who make excuses and continue to stay, like, confined in the limitations that society has placed upon them, they're always gonna be stuck in their little bubble, and then they're gonna project. Like, bro, I had people project onto me at this moment in my life talking about, oh, I just feel like you're overdoing it. I feel like I'm losing my friend. You're just wanting all these wild things out of life, and I don't even know if they're possible. And then I look at this girl like, girl, you're also in college. It may not be the same college you wanted to go to and that you planned for yourself, but at the end of the day, you're also in college trying to get through this so you can have a life of ease, a life that allows you to have some sort of, you know, relaxation and luxury so you can take care of yourself. So if my right happens to be a little different than yours, instead of projecting and saying, hey, I would never amount to doing those things because I'm still operating from a place of fear, you can just say, hey, I'm proud of you. It doesn't seem like it's my path right now, but you go ahead and do what you gotta go do. But to people that project and then want you to play small because they are confined by their fears, I do not fuck with those types of people. And you really gotta go. Like, no. They are the killers of all dreams, bro. The killers of all dreams. If I said, damn, I wonder if I can jump from this building to that building and what would I need to be able to make that happen? And they start with, I don't think you're gonna do it. You might die on the way. I'm not talking to them. Like, bitch, out of all things that came to your mind, you decided to latch on to the negative one. And that's the thing about dreams. Like, you just need to have the courage for yourself to really go after what it is that you want. And not listen to the naysayers and the da-da-da-das and the da-da-das. Because at the end of the day, like, girl, I turned out fine. I had one of the most tremendous experiences of my life. The experience that I had because I was willing to take, initiative in what it is that I wanted and cultivating my dreams to be a tangible reality thing. I never failed. I never looked back and was ever disappointed. The only time that I was disappointed is when I listened to the pessimist of life, you know? And when you are somebody who's also very driven about your dreams, you need to have that fearless mentality, and you can share your shit with people, but also be mindful of who you're sharing with. You can take advice from people, but also be mindful of who you're taking advice from. And also really evaluate the people in your environment, because with me, most of the time, I like being to myself and just kind of like isolated in my own bubble. And people could be like, well, aren't you bored? Aren't you lonely? And it's like, yeah, I mean, it could feel like that, but also I really value my like solitude. And there's so much clarity that I can receive in those times that I wasn't able to when I was connected to people, you know? And it's nice. We all want friends. We all want community sometimes and people to lean on. But at the end of the day, if the people you call your friends and the people in your community that you lean on aren't willing to support you in your dreams, even when it makes them uncomfortable, then I don't think that's a place you should be around. And the thing is, bro, when people come and tell me about their dreams, I'm like, you're telling me about your dreams. This ain't got shit to do with me, you know? If it feels impossible to me, it's probably impossible because it's how I'm viewing it. But for me to project and be like, no, I don't think you should do it because honestly, how would you navigate X, Y, and Z when really they've already figured that out? And that's not even a fear for them. It's a fear that I have. But what is projecting that onto people gonna do for them? It does nothing, you know? And with people who are in your life doing that shit to you, bro, just cut them off. Like, the best thing you could do in life for yourself, I swear to God, is go grab them scissors and cut motherfuckers off when it's time. I do not play about that shit. Because keeping them around, all it does is be a detriment to your life, you know? And especially as somebody who's really intentionally based, intuitively based, you know? A lot of the times the decision I know I'm gonna make, and it's important to understand yourself and how you have and what type of relationship you have to your dreams. Because I'm the type of person where, like, most of the times the inclination that I'm gonna have aren't always gonna make sense to people. because they're intuitive hits. There's something that I'm getting and receiving as a download within my body that I'm trying to bring into the tangible world and make it real in this 3D world. And when you share it with people, yeah, sometimes you're gonna sound a little wild, like, girl, what? But to me, I'm like, if my dreams don't make me feel like, wait, what? Like, that's ridiculous. I don't even want to do it. I don't even want to do it, you know? And that's the point of this life. Like, for me, I am really grand in my thinking, and I'm like, that's the point of life, is to, like, be on this journey of the unknown, and to feel within yourself the things that you desire and that you love and that you can cultivate in this world. And I don't know, like, some people might look at it as like, damn, everything I want, I have to be the one that does it, or I have to bring it to life. They can look at that as like a negative experience, but to me, that's where the thrill is, you know? What would be the point of this life if I can't co-create with it? And the fact that I do have that ability and that I can shape my reality into the ways that I desire and want, that's powerful as fuck. Who does not want to, like, practice and access that type of power within themselves? Sheeps don't want to do it, and that's okay, you know? And that's why I'm like, with me, it's like, I don't care if that's how you want to live your life, that's fine. But I don't keep pessimistic motherfuckers around me, you know? I don't. And as somebody, again, like I said, who leads from intuition and nudges and little desires that I get, I don't need to be discouraged. I don't need to be around people who are discouraged or discouraging me because they don't understand where I'm going, when it was never for them to understand. All I said was, let me tell you about what my plans are and what I want to do, and you can support me, you know? But when you start adding your little fucking 2 cents, and this is the thing that I don't understand. How the fuck you giving me 2 cents when you ain't never applied that shit to your life? Bitch, you never taken your own goddamn advice. You're still sitting in the same place as last year. And that's the other thing. Some people might be like, that might be a little rude, Flo. But I can't help it, you know? I think it's like my ADHD and my, like, neurospicy brain. But, like, also with pattern recognition, when I just see that, damn, you're just in the same constant loop. You kind of been saying this for a minute, like, you've been saying this for like 2 years now, 3 years, like, you just keep talking about this, but you don't do it. Also, people like that, I can't be around them. Like, people could be like, that's rude, but I'm just, no. As somebody who's really a go-getter, like, I don't waste no time going after the things that I want. People who just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, I can't do it. Because also, the thing that I notice about people who talk is they're also very good at talking shit about other people. And then when you really look at them, I'm like, damn, you talk so much shit about other people. And you also talk so much about your dreams, but I never see you move. I never see you do anything. And with me, I just sit and observe people. And then if I start noticing, oh, there's this pattern of they just talk about shit, put other people down, never move. And they just project. And they're not getting anything done. And then they're sabotaging me. And then making it seem like, bro, I remember I had this one person in my life who was supposed to be one of my good friends. Instead of saying, hey, I'm really proud of the things you're accomplishing in life and the fact that you're thinking big for yourself and really leaving the confines of what's meant for us, even though these are things we used to talk about, even though these are things that we understood as immigrant daughters of African households and the confinement that we face majority of the time, especially when it comes to facing our dreams and how some of us have to just be a little bit more resilient in our endeavors. These are conversations we would have all the fucking time. We would even sit down and talk about, oh, what kind of house would you want in the future? What kind of car do you like? What kind of, like, career do you see yourself doing? What brings you joy? And we would, like, talk about all these stuff. But because it started becoming more real for me, because I was actually going after it, they started sabotaging me, talking about, oh, I just feel like I'm losing my friend. You're going after all of these, like, extravagant, wild stuff, and I just feel like you need to slow down. Bitch, ain't you trying to do the same thing? Just say you fucking can't do it. Just say you were willing to sit back and criticize people instead of act on your own. And you're threatened by people who do it. So sometimes with people like that, it's actually a disrespect being around them, you know? So I advise, peep the situation and act accordingly. And cut them off, bro. People like that, I just can't do no pessimistic ass motherfuckers, bro. There's so much to be joyful about in this world. So much to be happy about in this world. So much to do and be and become and see. And all you want to do is talk shit. No. All you want to do is conform and play small and safe. Absolutely not. Like, you're more than welcome to do that, by all means necessary. But you're just not going to do it around me. You're just not gonna do it around me. You know, that's detrimental to my own blessings, you know? And also, like, I feel like, honestly, at some point in my life, I did have this boundary where I'm just kind of like, if I'm gonna be friends with people or have them in my life, I know that the things that I do and the way that I cultivate my reality is gonna be beneficial. I don't also want to be in a relationship with people where I'm not adding on to your life. And it's not saying that, oh, I want a transactional relationship with people. But no, I feel like if you're gonna be in relationships with people, spending your time, your energy, your resources, whatever that it is, there needs to be a mutual exchange with one another. That's why I feel like niggas nowadays, especially people of our generation, have a hard time networking, because it's like you just want to extract. You just want to extract and you bring nothing to the fucking table. And I see the same thing in friendships, or like in the creative world, is that a lot of people are too scared to really go after their dreams, and they're waiting for somebody to ignite that fire in them, and then they're here trying to network with people and build connections, but they're not bringing nothing to the table, you know, and you're just a fucking leech at that point. And at this point in my life, I don't do leeches, bro. Like, I've cultivated myself enough to know that, hey, at the end of the day, no matter what table I'm sitting at, I'm always gonna be an asset, not a liability. And I'm not gonna continue to put myself around people at my table who are a fucking liability to me. I'm not doing that. And neither should you, you know? That, to me, that's honoring and respecting my artistic endeavors, and also myself as a person, is moving in that regard. And however people take it, I just don't care no more. Like, I used to maybe care and be like, well, but I'm just kind of like, girl, I don't even make those excuses for myself. So why the fuck should I extend myself, bend over backwards? I don't even do that in my stretching, girl. And you think I'm gonna do it for you? Hell no. Hell no. So that's the message for today. Just wanted to share that because, you know, it's taken me quite far. That advice has taken me quite far in my life, of either you're going to be around people who drain you or people who pour into you. And whether the outcome of that becomes however way the coin lands, it's on you, because you choose the people who you decide to share your endeavors with in this world. And if it matches the essence that you want, cool. If it don't, get rid of them. Peace out.